here. Okay, we'll call the Human Resources meeting to order on March 7th, 5 o'clock.
Am I now?
Here.
Scott McClory,
Here.
Tim Sharota.
Here. Alrighty, we got two things. The first one is to discussion and recommendation on an additional deputy city clerk. Any input, Tim, Scott?
Yeah, I guess one thing I missed in the memo was why does the utilities pay half the salary? I'm just not aware.
Well, the clerk, does work not only, like for all the HR, it's done for all the employees, not just city employees.
Okay.
So utility employees, so we figured, this has been figured out a while ago. All our employees that work here are divvied up amongst the different entities that we represent. And we represent all of the utilities, all their administrative work, or majority of it, goes through here.
Okay.
Do we have any concerns that we're going to be having difficulty filling this position for the amount of money you were talking about?
It's definitely a concern.
Because I mean, if we agreed to it at X amount and they, we put it out there and we have no takers, then now we're coming back again to say we need to bump. I mean, I see that most of these bigger cities all have full-time deputy clerks. There's only a couple that are part-time, and they're Town of Geneva and Town of Lynn. Everyone else is full-time with benefits, which I know you're not asking for, but I think you said it would be costing us like about 10 grand a year or something close to that. Was that right? 9,500?
The city portion would be about 10, the utilities portion is about 10.
Okay.
For this year, it'd be obviously prorated. But what we're kind of looking at, we'll see if it actually happens or not. What we're looking at with this part-time position, hours something like 10 to 2. Here's where you could pick up somebody who has kids in school but has to take them, has to pick them up.
Sure.
This puts it in the middle of the day. Now, any position that we post right now, we're lucky to get a qualified person. Any job. Some, none. So this wouldn't be any different, but it might actually have a niche where we'll be able to find somebody. And, we've been messing around with this for years, and it's a disservice to my present city clerk, but past ones, that instead of rubbing two nickels together, we didn't step up and tell the council, this is what we need to do. All those people are just bombarded on elections. They try to pull someone out of the
I understand all that. I don't need to hear that part of it. I just want to, my question is, if we agree to this number and then we get no takers, we're going to be right back here again asking for more money. So should we come up with a contingent vote not to exceed X or Y, or is this it, is my point? I don't have any issue with the rationale. I don't need to hear about that. I'm just concerned we're not going to have the money's not going to work, and then then we got to come right back again. Oh, you didn't agree to that.
I think the number is aligned with what we pay for a starting rate at the front counter for customer service. So I'm not planning on paying anymore, because if I do, then I've got to increase across the board. Now, granted, we did raise the front counter because we were woefully behind, but.
Does the position have to be a quote-unquote deputy clerk versus an administrative assistant who does whatever the hell Lacey tells them to do?
It fills in her absence, not only for
Okay,
meetings.
so that has to be it.
Signing documents.
Because I can see some people that wouldn't read the JDQ and go, oh, deputy clerk, I don't know anything about it, but if it's administrative assistant and they've been a receptionist, an office manager, whatever, they'd be more inclined to put in for it. Just throwing it out there, but anyway, that's what I have to say.
Can I say something, Scott?
Sure.
When you talk about the front desk though, Jim, when you hire that person, they're getting benefits and everything. This person won't get benefits, so you really don't have to go across the board raising money, because they're not gonna get the benefits.
Well, I guess I would hate to pay a part-timer a higher wage than a full-time person, just because they're getting benefits. You find out the part-time person is making more money than you, and you're full-time, that's kind of a slap in the face, in my opinion.
Lacey, I think, wanted to say something.
I would like to pay them more, but I know it's an issue. Ultimately, they would have more responsibility, and that is why I would want to pay them more. But I do understand being at the minimum where the front counter is. But the work isn't getting done there. It needs to be done elsewhere, so.
But wouldn't they be doing work above
Yes.
what, the other people in the office that we have there, Jim.
I would say
In other words, they would be, I don't wanna say they have a degree, but they have knowledge of a clerk, the city clerk.
People up front are doing pretty intense work too, when they're not waiting on customers. They've got some pretty heavy duties up there too, I mean, as far as, so I don't know, I don't know if
It's
I
just a different
classify-
level,
I don't-
having the access to, different kinds of personal information, but the front office people do the same.
Responsibilities, too.
Right. Yeah, it is different when you're the one signing all those
So when we
things.
say part-time, are we talking like 20 hours per week?
Yes,
I thought that's what I read. So 20 hours per week, not to exceed 20,000. Let's see if we get some takers.
yes, and I
I'll make
would,
that- I'll make that motion.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We move that on to council? Is that correct? Okay. Secondly, here, discussion and recommendation on a part-time community service officer.
Well, I think
Chief,
Joel's.
you wanna
gonna-
say anything?
Well, Joel will handle this one. The only thing I would add on to that is, the plan commission has asked me, and it's still a work in progress because of lack of people, to bring conditional uses up, and we want to start reviewing those to make sure all those conditions are being met. A key component of that is the community service officer in that process, and Joel has been very generous to help us control our costs by offering that. With the full-time community service officer going into property management, we call it property room management and things like that, I don't know, Joel can answer better on whether they'll have time, but I do want to kick that off and start doing that, and I'm just saying the community service officer is going to be a component of that. Does that mean, that this would help with that? I don't know, but that's one component, I guess, of this. So,
I think Jim can tell you that I've really been on for the last 2 years, and even before that, about enforcement. At planning commission, we'll put conditions on a person for their permit, and before they come in and even sign the permit, they've already violated. And it sort of gets to the point of where we might spend a half an hour, 45 minutes, even an hour, thinking of conditions and, where we can restrict them but not affect their business. And it's like there's no respect there anymore. They just go right out. So from that standpoint, I can tell you from the planning commission, I think it's something that we've needed for a while. And that would be, we need that. Without it, if we make an ordinance or a condition, if we don't enforce it, we're wasting our time. So if that would be part of it, I'd really be in favor of it. Scott?
I'm going to defer to the chief. Looks like he wants to chime in first.
Sure.
I can wait.
Well, I guess in regards to the enforcement of the conditional use permit, I probably would see that something that I would have to look at the full-time community service officer, see if they have the ability. So we would need to take a look at that and see if he has the time within his day in order to accomplish that. Just because of the part-time position is relatively limited, and it would only be working 3 till 7, and it's the changeover can be so great with that person that there might not be the consistency that I think you're looking for the enforcement, but it's something that we can definitely take a look at.
Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Tim?
That's fine.
So at the end of the day, we'll have a full-time and a part-time?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. That full-time community service officer would still be working roughly that 7 to 3. That way they get there for that early morning school traffic, as well as then they can let them out. And then that afternoon one would start at 3 and go until 7, so that we're keeping roughly the same hours as what we had before with the 2 part-time.
Scott, you have anything else?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
The chief answered my question.
Okay. Is there a motion?
We approve the full-time community service officer position. I thought we had
part-time.
I thought we were moving one part-time to full-time. Did I misunderstand?
The part-time will be going to full-time, correct, and then we'll be adding the part-time to replace that, correct?
Okay, that's my motion. I'm still confused.
We got that.
Yeah, I'll second whatever.
All right, first and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion will move on.
We're all done.
Adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we're done.